So last week we were working on the Corrado, and this week we are working on the Corrado. Let's see how far we get today.
Previously on Battlestar Galactica.
Hey there everybody, we are back on the Corrado project again today, or as I like to call it, death by 1,000 cuts. Welcome back to the channel. Brendan here, aka Cliff Jumper, and today we are hoping to make our final push to getting the Corrado project back on the road with something special, filling in this space right here. We've been doing a lot of side projects. It's been one thing after another of while you're in there. We started to get into the Supercharger install, mocking it up, and realized that we were missing a bolt, or we had the wrong bolt, I should say. So we had to go find that, and then while we had this jacked up to do that, we realized the motor mounts were completely toast. So replacing the motor mount there, and there with Black Forest Industries upgraded mounts led to some other problems. In the process of jacking up the motor, we discovered a coolant leak, which we needed to try to track down, and we never actually found a leak. So what I'm assuming is that in the process of jacking up the motor, there was pressure being put on some of these hoses and pipes in there, and with that tremendous amount of torque, there was just a little tiny rivulet of coolant allowed to leak out. Pretty sure that is all that was going on with that. We pressurized the system last week and tested it for leaks and could not find anything in here that was leaking. So proceeding onward, what else did we have to do in here? There was a bunch. Oh yeah, the CV axle down there. The axle for this wheel the boot had come off, so we needed to swap that. We put in some ducting for our auxiliary cooler that's mounted back up in there. We did a little adjusting to the transmission valve body and put some fresh fluid in there. It's been a bit. We had to relocate our carbon canister, which used to be right there. Now it is back there. And I'm probably going to do a little bit more bracket work just to secure all of this stuff so that it doesn't have weight hanging on it. I'd probably like to get that back against the firewall. There's a little position on the firewall where it looks like I can install a nut and a bracket. So I think I'm going to do that before we put anything in the way. The other thing we need to do is install a breather. Well, it's got a breather, but the breather goes right back into the intake, which lets all sorts of crap get both onto the, normally the mass airflow sensor, and then into the throttle body. In this case, it would be just into the throttle body. But yeah, we want to put a breather catch can in there. So we're going to make a little bracket. I've seen a few people that have used this position right here. So we've got some of the smog valve, it's like an EGR control valve thing here. We're going to go ahead and unbolt that. We're going to move this slightly. So I think what we'll do is we'll install the catch can. We'll make a little bracket that'll go off to the side for this guy to reinstall onto. And then I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. We can continue the install. We should have everything that we need. So unless any emergencies come up today, we may actually have a functioning Corrado at the end of the day. Nah, it's a Corrado. It never happened. Who am I fooling? What I'm talking about with the adjusting bolt. Here is the one that was in the kit as I got it. And see how it's only threaded at the very end there? And then it's non-threaded, which only allowed tiny little bit of adjustability. It needed to be like the one that's currently in it, which is threaded the whole way. That way you've got a wide range of adjustability to loosen the belt and then bring it up just a spec, and yeah. So now we're set to put this in. And this is where we run into we have to lift the motor up a little bit because this bolt cannot fit in the hole where it needs to go for the alternator bracket unless we lift the motor. So we got to unbolt the front motor mount bracket, lift it a little bit, put this in, tighten it, and then drop that down. And we'll probably deal with, yeah, we'll just deal with the supercharger belt while we're in there. We're going to need to run some hose for the breather, which we were talking about mounting over there. So this bracket here, I think we can just, there's 2 bolts holding it on. I think we can take them off and just shift it over to 1 bolt and it'll still stay just fine, and that'll leave enough room for the other the catch can to just sit on there and bolt in place. So let's try that. The bolts that I'm working on, they're underneath here, so they're a real pain in the neck to get to, but that's what we're working on, tightening this up, and then we'll add the belt before we finish tightening. Actually, I should put it on so I can thread it through there first and then get it, but anyway, yeah, that's what we're working on. Run, we've got the bracket installed. I've used this little bolt here on the end to tension the belt, or at least for initial tension. We can re-tighten it later, but we don't want it to be crazy tight. So all of this stuff is in place, and now we can lower the engine and continue plumbing everything.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back.